Board meeting on the June 27th, 2023 at 6:30 PM to order. At this time, we would ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We did things a little different. At this time, we would like to make sure everyone keeps the family of Brandon O'Neill Jones in their thoughts and prayers. The husband of Tiffany Jones, father to Kobe Jones, Isaiah Morris, and Jacob Jones, passed away from an extended illness on Saturday, June 24th, 2023, at the University of Kentucky. Brandon is the son to Gina and Nick Francis and the late Terry Lee Jones. Also left to cherish Brandon's memories is his stepfather William and Erica Harris, siblings William Bowe and Liz Harris, and Najee Harris, a grandson Kason Jones, and a special aunt Vanessa Kitty Jones Briscoe. The visitation for Brandon will be at 11 a.m. and the funeral at 1 p.m. Both services are at Saturday, July 1st, 2023 at First Baptist Church, 37 North Highland Street in Winchester, Kentucky by Reverend Marvin O'King. I got the privilege to speak to Bo last night about Brandon and all the lives that he touched and all the students and the kids of Clark County that he left a huge impact on. And Bo wanted to make sure, and the family wanted to make sure, that we passed along that they are asking for all kids that Brandon was able to coach or that coached alongside of him attend his funeral as an honorary pallbearer. He leaves behind a huge legacy with the kids of Clark County. I don't think there was a sport in Clark County that Brandon did not coach. From everything that I've looked up and was able to see, he coached it all. He graduated from GRC in 1999, came back and coached at GRC along coaching at RDC. So at this time, with the help of Ms. Smith, Mr. Howard, and Mr. Kaysen, they have prepared a short video. This time we ask you to please stand for a moment of silence and please remember the family of Brandon Jones in your prayers in future days. Thank you. First thing on the agenda is review of the agenda and adoption of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to move under consent items, the MOU for National Youth Advocate Program, to please move that to our regular July meeting.
Second that.
Thank you.
Is there, are you good with moving that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that motion will pass 3-0 to move to July. Anything else you all need to add or take off? If not, can I get,
I make a motion to approve the agenda
I'll second.
as amended?
as amended.
Alright, motion by Ms. Hall, second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Consider approval of minutes for the May 23rd, 2023 regular meeting and June 21st, 2023 special meeting. Everybody was there, correct? Okay. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of May 23rd and June 21st.
Motion by Mr. Dorsey,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Hall. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. At this time, public comments. I know there's a Mr. Flynn that would like to speak.
Yes, ma'am. And I have with me tonight Ms. Stephanie Blaine. Stephanie is project engineer with Palmer Engineering. Mike Flynn, city manager, city of Winchester. First of all, I just want to say that during the course of my tenure as the city manager for the past 3 years, and since the hire of your superintendent, it's been a pleasure working with Mr. Howard. It's been a breath of fresh air for, I know, the people at City Hall and others, but he bodes well for the school system of Winchester and Clark County, and he has a great rapport with the people in the government, definitely at City Hall for sure, and with all the people that work in the departments, whether it be police, fire, public works, all those. He's done a great job at getting out and being visible in what he's doing. So I want to start by saying I appreciate what he's done in that regard. And then I also want to commend Brandon. Brandon's come on board, and he's worked with me, he's worked with the people at City Hall, and I'm very appreciative of what we got going on here. It seems like we're going in the right direction, doing good things for our community and for our kids. So I want to start off by saying that. As we look at this, we wanted to come and give you kind of an update of a project that it's been several years in the making now, and it seems there's been a lot of those projects that's been several years in the making that I'm trying to push along, and one of those is a bioretention basin that's going to be constructed on the RDC campus just beyond the track in the drainage area, what I used to call the old technical, where everybody went and did their auto mechanics and woodworking and all that in the back, vocational part of that, the old high school in that area there. Palmer has designed a bioretention basin that we're going to be constructing to help alleviate some of the flood problems that we experience downstream of that area. And in designing that, the intent is hopefully to lower the level about 6 inches, 5 to 6 inches of flood elevation in those areas. So it doesn't mean that there won't be flooding beyond that, and that's the lower Harrods Creek watershed that's beyond that. But what it means is hopefully we won't be flooding people's houses and those type of things, and be able to eliminate some of the issues that we've seen in years past. So it's going to help people all the way downstream as you go down Old Boonesboro Road, even beyond. Hopefully that we'll be able to see some relief from this after construction of this. Construction's supposed to start this week. Actually, we're going to start putting up security fencing and some of the other things. That was some of the questions that were raised at a meeting that we had with some of the school officials. The project cost for this somewhere in the neighborhood of $275,000 to $280,000 is what we're looking at. There was a 60-40 matching grant that was part of the funds that were acquired for that. The city's paying the remaining. Our cost is the 60 or the 40 portion. The 60% is from a that was a.
It's a 319 non-point source grant. So basically, it's a federal grant that's administered through the Division of Water that aims at improving water quality in watersheds throughout Kentucky.
And part of the design of that was to also be able to provide something that was about educational purposes, not like the Shear School that was probably not something that we all, I know that the guys that maintain the facilities weren't too excited about that part of it, but it's going to be more educational from the standpoint of being able to take kids down there, show them some science and other things, the ecosystem, and doing those type of things. We're going to make some improvements as far as safety in the area as well. I think was a concern. Do some of that, and definitely safety during the course of construction, because that was one of my big concerns, because I know people use that portion of property to walk. They use it for football practices, soccer practices, and everything during this course of time and during this course of the year. So I think we've made all the necessary provisions that we need to. One of the things, the reason we're here is because the school board had signed an agreement about a year ago to a lot longer than that, it's been several years ago, to allow us to do this project. And Stephanie's got detailed plans of the construction project. We'll provide them to you so you have something. That way, as a board, if you get asked questions, at least you know what's going on and you can guide them to the right people. And Brandon, we're going to try to help him. I think we're taking some of the spoil, I say dirt, that they're going to be excavating off the site, moving it up the hill for a baseball field or a softball field, I think, if I'm not right. So we're going to try to do everything that we can to make this project beneficial to the school system as well, and while it benefits the members of our community also. So we want to work with you, and of course not against you. And if there's any questions, you can call City Hall, call the city manager's office, and I'll do my best to answer the questions, and you can guide them toward me and do that. But I think I think we're going to be in and out of there so quick. We don't even expect probably a 45 to 60 day project, and we'll be out of there and gone. So I pray that that's the case. You never know what weather will do, but if the weather holds out like it's been holding out, we should be good.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Flynn?
Yes, ma'am.
So as far as like when school starts, do you think it'll be done by August, or will it, or not?
Our goal is to, the date was August 4th. Am I
Okay.
right in saying that? So I think that'll be the case if the weather holds true for us. If we experience a significant amount of rain during the course of this time, it might push us back. But I think we're going to be in an area, and we're accessing the area. We're not going into the main entrance. We're going
On that
in
side
through
road?
on the side road.
Okay.
We're going to work with Brandon and his staff to make sure that we don't inconvenience them in any way. And then the other thing that I think is really good about this too is we've got a local contractor, Eric DeWalt with Ridgewater Construction, and Eric is a top-notch contractor, and I am so glad that he ended up getting this job, because I think it's an opportunity for him to showcase what he's got. He's done several of these over at the school systems in Lexington as well, and he's got a vested interest in this anyway, because this is his hometown. So I think he'll take necessary measures to make sure that this is a very successful project for all of us.
As with all these kind of projects, especially working for the city, we have to consider a little bit. But if I could have handpicked somebody for this, he would have been who I would have picked. So it was I've done multiple projects with him in the city of Lexington with their water quality programs there, and so I have full faith in him, and he's already made some suggestions. He's actually a licensed engineer, and so he gives me a run for my money every time I work with him because he knows just as much as I do. So Mike has the plans that are the current plans. I know that you all had, Brandon had Ross Tarrant look at those, give us some comments. We responded back to those comments with, and I guess if we have any further issues, we'd be glad to work those out. I guess as somebody spent a lot of my career working in Lower Howards Creek and the flooding issues throughout Lower Howards Creek, both in the city limits and the county, are significant. And I wish I could tell you that this was going to solve them all, or there was some other solution that we could do to fix those, but there's not. So I thank you all for helping us to get the ball rolling. I think that this will be a process that the city and the county will have to be working on for a long time, but I think this is a great first step, and hopefully I probably more than almost anybody wanted it to be successful so that we can get others willing to let us do similar projects in other parts of the watershed to be able to help. It's the only way that we're going to be able to remediate some of the flooding issues without significant infrastructure costs.
That's really all we have. I just wanted to make you aware of it. If you, like I said, if you got any questions, Mr. Howard has my number on speed dial, and he knows how and where to get a hold of it.
I'd be glad to, right over here. So be glad to, if you have any specific engineering or related questions, be glad to answer those as well.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
We have to close the track, Mr. Watkins? You don't think so?
That's not the anticipation.
You
We're going to
want-
make sure all the fencing to enclose the construction area is beyond the walking track.
Okay. I know there's lots of people that walk on that
Oh,
track.
yeah. I would.
Yeah, I have in the past, so yeah.
It worked out really well, I think, for hopefully both parties, that you all had a place that could potentially use the material that we're going to be removing from that area and move it up to the future field site. So that hopefully should cut on some of the traffic coming in and out from the the bypass area, because most of the trucks are just going to be coming in and taking material to the back of the site and coming back.
That's wonderful. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right. Any more public comments? Billy, is there any more public comments? Okay. All right, student support services, consider approval for new school start and end times. Mr. Watkins. You didn't let my kids start at 9 o'clock. I'm not real thrilled about that.
Let's see if we can work on it.
Okay.
I want to thank Mr. Flynn, and I've enjoyed working with him on this. I'm really excited about the project too there behind Campbell. I think it's a great opportunity for Clark County Public Schools to be a good partner and a good neighbor with the city of Winchester and our community. So, start and end time. So one of the things we started looking at early in the spring was kind of a way to be a little more efficient with our buses and our start times. We felt like we had some lag times there that we could tighten things up and probably be really help parents with moving our schools start and end times a little closer together instead of from ranging from 7 o'clock to preschool, 7:30 Baker to 8:50 to 3:50 with RDC. So the proposal that you all have there would just to be to move the elementary schools up 10 minutes earlier to start and end. GRC would be up 15 minutes and RDC up 20. Really, you're only trimming out 5 minutes there from the elementary to GRC time, and that's the time that kind of matters the most, because we unload our elementary kids and then run and Baker kids, and then run a second route for our middle and high school, junior high and high school kids. So it really only trims 5 minutes off that time. And we talked to the transportation department extensively to make sure that we could do that. I think they laughed at me at one point because I probably beat the dead horse too much, but I wanted to really make sure that they felt like we could do that. We did shorten the GRC, RDC time there in between them in the evening is when that will kind of, be a little, I guess, make the most impact. And talking to RDC, Mr. Kincaid, he, even if the buses don't pull in right at 8:30, and if it's a few minutes after, he liked the fact that we were going to have a few minutes there to release car riders and kind of clear the parking lot some before we had buses pull in. So he's got a couple waves of dismissal currently as it stands, and it really, they keep a couple waves of dismissal into the upcoming school year. And GRC, same thing. A lot of their buses were there, on time or a few minutes early anyway, and then you would have a second wave of buses come in. So really nothing changes other than eliminating some of that downtime in between. It allows us to go ahead and start school a few minutes early at both of those. Get kids out a few minutes early with our high school kids that are co-oping and things like that. It allows them to get off to work a few minutes earlier. And then the last thing I would just kind of say is under this, we do not have to change any morning pickup times for our buses. So I think that was an important thing. We didn't want to, scoot early times up any earlier. We feel 100% confident that no AM pickup times for buses would change. Do you all have any questions?
I just have a comment that I've talked to a few people in the community, and especially high school students seem to be really excited about the prospect of starting earlier and getting out earlier. So that could be just because they don't want to be at school, but I think it's a good thing. And reading it, I had asked Mr. Howard just for a rationale, and it makes total sense. And because RDC getting out at 3:50 is pretty late, and then you all mentioned that actually would save on teacher time too, because they don't have to work as long, they won't go over their hours.
Correct.
So.
And it's always, with them starting at 8:30, 8:50, it's hard to open the doors
Yeah.
before 8 o'clock, which is when a lot of parents, have to go to work, and if they need to drop their kid off. So at 8:30, we should be able to open the doors a few minutes before 8 to go ahead and accept some of those, drop-offs so that folks can get on to work.
And I have seen kids waiting outside like all different times of the year. So for any reason why I was down that direction. So
Yeah,
But
they
yeah, I
do.
think it's
They
good.
do. Even in the wintertime, there are kids out there early waiting. So it should help with that issue as well.
I think the other thing too, when you think about going from Baker to RDC, you go from 7:30 and then we've been going to 8:50. That's a big difference. And so at least an hour isn't quite as of a change.
Right.
But that's almost an hour and a half difference. So I think it's all good.
And I'd love to get that time even closer, but we've got a good plan here that we know will work for next year.
Any questions?
Good with this.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the new school start and end times for the 23-24 school year.
I'll second.
By Ms. Hall, second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Wall.
Yep. Absolutely. Whatever you can do to get them closer and save some time. That's it.
Finance and Human Resources update. Acknowledgement of monthly CCPS financial update. Ms. Ellis.
Hi, everybody. So my date's wrong, but it's supposed to be June. So I apologize. The dates did not, the months didn't get updated on my paper.
It's summer.
I'm wearing a couple hats. I've been down 2 employees, so we are just trying to get it done. We got payroll done today, so that was very exciting. We have one more to send tomorrow for our certified teachers, and we're done with this year's payroll. So that's great news in our world. That's what we've been working hard on in finance. So this is really May's numbers, not April. So we are 2% ahead in revenues compared to this time last year, and we're actually 3% behind in expenditures. So that bodes well for our beginning balance that will roll over because we've collected more revenues and we've spent less money than our budget. So that should reflect when we get to year-end numbers and official showing you all the beginning numbers for next year. We'll have a higher beginning balance. Taxes, we are really kind of at the end of the day, 102% this time last year, 102% this year, so we're spot on. We've over collected on what we had budgeted. We are very conservative in this aspect just to ensure that we do, in fact, collect what we budget. So that is fantastic news. And then again, this is June, but the basic reports that you all see every month are on here. Any questions on any of those? Things on the consent items, again, June instead of April. But again, these are, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me now, but these are standard things that we put on our June meeting every year for finance that we have to have approvals on to start the new school year with. Fidelity bond, our reserve sick balance, that's something I have to do for the audit, to reserve any of our sick leave for retirement. We have to set aside a 50% liability balance for that. Pledge of our collateral, meaning our bank collateralizes our money. We have to have that on, but these are all KRSs that have to be in place for finances. So,
Can you explain the Fidelity bond just a little bit?
yeah, absolutely. So the Fidelity bond is actually me being bonded. So if I committed fraud against you all, you would have $1 million to collect immediately from that bond to recuperate money into the bank, and then I would have to pay, if I was found guilty, pay the bond people back versus paying you all back restitution. So it's a safety, and it's required by law that your treasurer, which is my position, is bonded. Okay. So that's,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Anything else?
Any more questions?
All right.
Do we have to like approve anything?
I'm gonna put that there
that
while
was
she's up here, because I'll miss her.
The second part is
Okay.
authorized.
Oh,
What'd you say?
oh,
No, okay.
I don't think there's any necessary approval on that.
No, that was just
This is-
acknowledgement. So authorized payment of salaries and accounts payable, Ms. Ellis.
So this is our payroll and payables that need to be paid for this past month. So if you would authorize those, please.
Paid bills.
I make a motion to authorize payment of salaries and accounts payable.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Motion
Pay those
by- Yeah, motion by Ms. Hall, second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. All right, superintendent's report, floor's all yours.
So we've, how about that? And that summary, no, I'm just kidding. No, I just want to, again, we're kind of at the last board meeting of this fiscal year, so I want to thank our students for a great school year, our staff, our parents, really working on next year's things. We've got professional development coming up over the summer. Those schedules should be out. Again, we start school back on the, I said this wrong the last time, 15th.
15.
We'll get the new start times out into the handbooks. We'll get that published everywhere so parents can, but again, I want to reiterate on that, something Mr. Walker's brought up. If your bus comes, it will not come earlier, right? So we're not impacting students getting up any earlier, anything like that. We thought that was a big win. We thought decreasing the time between Baker and RDC, opening the doors earlier at RDC so we don't have kids out in the weather. And we're also not trying to choose between taxing staff to supervise them, an hour before school. We just felt like it was a very tight plan. We'll continue to work on that plan for coming years to see if there's other things. And also help with the idling time with buses. You lined up side RDC. If you were at the last board meeting, we're really trying to tighten down on our budgeting, our spending, and transportation. And we also think that the times will also help on that. Other than that, we've got principals retreat scheduled for July, KASA, State Administrators Conference. We're doing a retreat, trying to get our directors along with our head principals together to really clarify and continue setting the vision for Clark County. We're very excited about that. Do want to give, again, Finance and HR a huge shout out. Since you guys approved the bus driver rates, we've hired 6 new ones since last week. And 3 or 4 more have applied. So again, I appreciate your all's vision and understanding that we can't continue to, do the same thing and expect a different result. So I do want to commend you guys for your guys' work with that. I want to give you an update. Also update, we're still working on the new Phoenix building. We should be ready to go. We're hoping by the first part of August. We've ordered furniture, brand new furniture, so our kids will get brand new state-of-the-art furniture when they move in. Mr. Keene and Mr. Graham have done a great job with their vision of what it's going to become. I think that's kind of all my updates, unless you guys have any other questions.
Did we figure out the calendar? Wasn't there an issue with the calendar? Or did I dream that?
So there's not an issue. Something we'll need to talk about is next year is the eclipse.
Yeah.
So I kind of had asked for you guys to kind of think about what our plan is going to be. That's not until next April, so we have time.
Oh, okay.
Some districts are going to be out that day. Other districts are going to be in and plan kind of educational things. So I don't want our community to get caught off guard or us look at it a month before. I think it's important for us to plan. If we're going to be in school, great. If we're not, go ahead and make that adjustment. But we'll talk about that in more depth, I think, in July.
Okay, so we are gonna put it on the July.
After, just as long
That's
as
what I
that's
was
just what
looking
you guys
for.
direct. Yep. So I wanted all 5 board members here for that because it's a larger discussion.
Okay, because I went back and looked for it and couldn't find it today. Maybe I just thought that I seen that.
That was it.
Okay.
Isn't it really close to our spring break?
It is actually the day after our spring break, which is another reason why some schools have chose to close, because it's a big ask to have a big event. And all the research I'm doing is we're going to be in one of the prime positions in the country to actually see it and witness it. But some other districts are taking advantage. The other thing we'll look at is something I've suggested to, I don't know if I've talked to finance yet, so Alicia's going to give me some dirty eyes here. I don't typically do this. But I know before it was really neat gesture for the school system to buy glasses for at least our students. So that kind of needs some direction on that. I think last year, how many years ago was that? You were with me then?
Yeah, but you can't hand them out. It was a legal thing. We ended up taking them to Kroger's.
It was over 5 years ago. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just-
So before those conversations come up in the community, now that I've talked about the eclipse, I also want to know, we'll do our research a little bit on that to make sure whatever we do is legal.
So there you go, Alicia, I saved you. He can't buy them.
So, but they were hot commodities because by the time we got there, everybody wanted them, and
Nobody
a lot of
else
the school
had any.
systems were the only ones that had the glasses. So it tried to take notes on things that maybe we had that need to do better. And that was on the list. So we'll continue conversation with that. But any other questions for me?
No, sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
I
that's-
really
that's all right.
thought I had dreamed that the other night. I was like, I don't know where it went. Okay, anything else? If not, would anybody like to make a motion for the consent agenda items minus one that was removed?
The amended consent, I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Dorsey,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Hall. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 3-0. Need a motion to adjourn
Motion to adjourn.
by Mr. Dorsey,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Hall. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. 7:05.
Y'all are efficient.